Hi, I'm Shane.
And Kelsey,
and
we're
Love Hut for Life.
And for the past 5 years, we have been traveling all over the country in this little yellow house of ours.
And for the past 4 years, I've been helping people build their very creative nomadic dreams. And we're about to share our most recent one with you.
Y'all come on in. This is a cool one.
So let me start explaining to you exactly what it was we built. We'll start with the cab. The cab is a really creative area. The whole point in the cab is when you look through the bus windows, you see a really nice clean cab, but you don't see the living space that's behind it. And if you have looked inside of a shuttle bus, more often than not, there's only one seat, and that's where the driver sat. With this one, we were able to get a passenger seat or a middle seat out of a Ford Transit, which has its own safety restraint system on it. And we used hardware to bolt it to the actual frame of the van, so that Willow had somewhere to sit next to her mom instead of being stuck back here strapped to a couch. This project has meant a whole lot to me. Several years ago, when I had just started out converting buses for other people, Bailey contacted me and I built a bus for her and Willow. And that bus went on its own adventure and became an Airbnb, and it's been one of my favorites that I've done. A few months ago, Bailey called me and said she got her hands on the bus that was almost finished, and she just needed someone to come help her gussy it up and make it pretty. So we were weirdly just within a couple 100 miles of her, and we quickly were able to get up here and help her out. Unfortunately, when we got here though, what she had on her hands was a bus that was converted by someone that had frankly no business converting a bus, and they did a really dangerous job. There was mold growing in places, there was sheetrock, there was dangerous electrical, the roof was falling in. It was just a sight to behold, and we decided to start trying to save it. And through that process, with my imagination and Bailey's combined, we ended up creating this thing that's surrounding me. It didn't start out as that, but I'm really proud of what exactly it is. So the first thing I want to point out is there's no solar on top of this bus, and that's pretty uncommon for the systems that I wire up. Instead, we went with the mentality of a lot of times solar lets you down, and it's a big investment to put it on top of the bus. So we wired this bus to be able to plug in with a 15 amp extension cord, and instead of a 30 amp, because if you use a big 30 amp connection like you see at an RV park, that's about the only place you can operate your bus. With the way we used a DC to DC charger off of the alternator, combined with using a charger that pulls 35 amps, also with a low amperage air conditioner, we have the ability to power all of these components just through an extension cord and do it safely. And I really love how our industry has progressed, that these components are accessible to us now, and we're able to start changing how we wire up these buses and get more out of it and get more adventures without spending as much money. Right now this bus is running off of a 400 amp hour battery pack, and that was the batteries that was made available to me when I got here, because if you don't know this, when you order a battery offline, you own it when it gets to you. There's no returning it. The way I built the system allows for a major upgrade in the future, so if you increase the size of the battery bank sizably, the ability to go much longer without having to plug in immediately becomes available to you. To any of you that have lived in these or move around in this community, you know that running an air conditioner off of a battery bank is a really challenging thing to do because they take so much power. With this one, we were able to get our hands on a new device to our market in America at least, and that are these small 12 volt DC air conditioners. And with the battery bank that was already here from the electrician, which is a sizable 400 amp AGM battery bank, I was able to tie this to it, and I get about 3.5 hours of run time for this little air conditioner. With the larger battery bank, of course you get a bigger run time. That doesn't really help us when we're sitting still, and it's rather small and kind of loud, to be honest. So we also installed a 120 volt mini split. We don't have the ability to generate enough power to power that, but we do have the ability to park and plug in. So through using residential breakers as well as a short connection of 120 amps, so just a normal extension cord versus a big RV 30 amp connection, we're able to get enough power safely into this bus to power a mini split. So we have 2 air conditioners in one bus, and it all runs off of one extension cord. So the shower and the kitchen were the 2 places that we left from the previous conversion. I went through a lot of effort to save the shower and did a lot of glue work, and we're going to be adding poly to it after I leave, and that'll create a really nice shower space. The kitchen, on the other hand, I tried to save it, but we ended up just trying to cram so much into it that I ended up changing it around a lot. I lifted the counter up, and then we were able to get a slide underneath the counter to put a large Dometic refrigerator slash freezer, the two separate compartments, that runs off of DC power underneath a very large sink. Up from there, I did build some small caddies to hold different cooking spices and things like that in the kitchen. And then I also attached a battery monitor with an alarm system on it, so that if these AGM batteries get pushed down to 50%, the alarms start going off and do not stop going off until you start running current through it again. Everything else in this bus is all built by these two hands. I started in the bedroom and moved my way to the front of the bus. I also had to lift the top of the bus because there was some sagging where the braces were removed, because this is a fiberglass bus and there's no steel frame inside of it. So in essence, I had to build a skeleton and then build everything attached to that skeleton. And I started by building the cabinets over the bed as well as the bed. The bed houses the electrical system and the plumbing system. We have 2 water tanks that are housed, one is under the bed and one is under the couch, giving us 85 gallons of water storage on this little bus. So one of the many unique challenges of building in a shuttle bus like this one, which as I mentioned has absolutely no steel frame to it, is the fact that there's nothing to attach all these cabinets to. Everything that you see around me isn't screwed into the walls, isn't screwed into a stud, it's screwed to itself. And it's screwed to the bracing that we had to build to help hold up the ceiling. Because of that, everything had to be very intentionally built lightweight, and we accomplished that by utilizing a lot of 1/4-inch paneling as well as a lot of the cedar that we had. So the couch is where we installed the stove. Underneath the stove is where we are housing our propane tank. We built the cabinet just for the propane tank. It's completely sealed, it's glued all together, and it has a rubber sealed door with venting all down the bottom of the box, and that allows, so if there's any leak in any of our fittings or through the tank valve, all of that goes outside, and it allows for us to not pump propane into the house. Because a lot of times the solution in these nomadic rigs is to just take the tank and shove it underneath the counter, and if that leaks in your sleep, it could be deadly. So in a lot of these buses, you see a secondary bed as the couch, and it slides out. This bus, we did not have the feet or inches to make that happen. As you can see, this couch is a little too small for anyone to lay on. So I had to get creative to make a second bed inside of here. And all of this space in front of me was really getting on my nerves, so I decided to put the bed right there. And how I did that was I put trim along the front of the couch and the front of the stove, and I built a very peculiar shaped bed that uses friction locks that bolt into the floor, as well as pins along the front of the couch here to create a really sturdy bed right in the middle of the room. It still allows you to walk around it, utilize where we're going to be storing the bathroom inside of the shower, as well as get out of the bus without actually taking the bed up. Now, for normal day-to-day activity, I would remove it, and that's why we put a super cool strapping system behind the door, so it's got somewhere to live when you're driving down the road, so you don't have a big bed in the middle of the bus.
Guys, if you're still watching at this point in the video, then you are well aware that this man of mine is extremely talented and always puts his heart and soul into his projects. I think what he has built here is pretty amazing. I also think that it's amazing how much heart he puts into all of this and how much he truly cares about his clients. Bailey, 4 years ago, was a complete stranger to us. Now, her and Willow are very, very good friends of ours, as Shane has built them 2 beautiful homes. But just like with all of his clients, he has put every second that he can into making sure that all of this is completely and totally accessible for them. Not only has he built everything in a way that it can be easily accessed and repaired down the road, he's also left little instructions and writings on things so that she'll always be able to fix her own problems, and if she can't, we are just a phone call away. And I think that that's pretty cool and worth mentioning. I know that I am lucky to have such a compassionate man, and I am also really, really proud that I get to share him with the world. And that's a wrap, guys. I am so incredibly proud of everything that this guy has been able to accomplish during our time here in Kansas, and I hope that Bailey and Willow have lots and lots of awesome adventures inside this bus.
If you have a creative idea and you just can't find the right person to build it for you, maybe it's me. Why don't you shoot me an email at lovehubforlife@gmail.com, or you can click on Facebook or Instagram and send us a direct message there. I'll be waiting.
Peace out, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.